Put this down here.
All right. Hey, there we are. Awesome. We are live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 368, your once-week live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are run in the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. However, I do want to address something right now. Speaking of super chats. Terrapup, I see your $5. Thank you very much, and that's actually exactly what I was going to address. John, I don't know if you know this particular person, but Don over at Nova Spirit Tech. He's another YouTuber, does a lot of Homelab kind of content. Unfortunately, he announced last year that he was battling cancer. And a couple of us knew it wasn't a great prognosis. Apparently earlier this week, he passed away.
Oh.
And so that was kind of a kick to the gut yesterday. A lot of us in the community found out yesterday. We got some emails from some people close to him. I never got the opportunity to meet Don in person, although I interacted with him a number of times on various socials and online, and had the opportunity to chat with him a couple of times. Always super genuine, super passionate, but very, very young, like our age, young.
Oh, geez.
Left behind a wife and one kid, and I did get permission to share this in they announced funeral arrangements I think Monday or something like that. The family did, and they're asking people who attend the funeral, rather than donating flowers, if you could donate to his son Zach's college fund. That link to where to donate to the college fund is down in the video description. I don't want super chats tonight. I want you to go donate to Don. That is the best way that I know to celebrate his memory and to help his family out. And can we get a fuck cancer in the chat?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll allow that one.
Yeah, so don't donate to me tonight. Please go donate over to Don's college fund for his son. At the moment, this is a US-only affair, although I do know his Discord mod team is working on doing some international donations. If you live outside of the US and you also want to contribute, I suggest getting in touch with his Discord. Yeah. Somber moment to start the show, but Don, we remember you. We appreciate your contributions. And
Hack till it hurts.
You will hack till it hurts. You will definitely be greatly missed by this community. So, yeah. I'm celebrating Don the only way I know how. Beer for tonight. I decided to break this one out. I opened my fridge and I went, well, damn if that just doesn't sound good right now. Sierra Nevada Narwhal, which is always a good beer, right?
Oh, I think I know what you're doing.
Not just the Narwhal, but the Trip in the Woods Narwhal.
Oh, that's such a good beer.
That's such a good beer.
It is such a good beer.
Yeah. So I saw this, and it's been calling to me all day. This is their Narwhal Imperial Stout, which if you've never had a Sierra Nevada Narwhal, oh, it's fantastic. It's an annual release beer that they do every December, January.
Yeah, it's a winter stout.
Yeah, it's a winter stout. This is part of their Trip in the Woods Barrel Age series. So they take their narwhal and then they barrel age it in collaboration with a whole bunch of different distillers. This one is their narwhal stout, aged in bourbon barrels with red and black currants added to the mix. So, yeah, this is, and for those pointing out the price tag, yeah, that was $25, and this is also a multi-year aged. This is a 2016.
Yeah.
So
adjust for inflation, that's $40.
Yeah, this is yeah. So yeah, we're gonna open this one tonight. John, what do you got?
Well, I don't have any. I didn't know it was that kind of day. And
I texted you. It was a trip in the woods kind of day.
I know that. I didn't know it was like, gonna be a sombering type.
Yeah.
But no, I am going with Belching Beavers, and the little bit of metalhead in me is going. It's Deftones.
Oh, nice.
And their IPA, their
Nice.
Phantom Bride IPA.
This pours like a barley wine. Gosh. And you know the nice thing about Bombers is I still have half a beer left.
Yeah.
So this is my beer for the night. 9.8%.
I got 7.1.
Yeah. So it's not like the biggest beer in my arsenal, but it's deep.
Yes. Well, the nice part too, there's still like good flavor in that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have high ABV to have good flavor.
John, it's a 2016. Look at the head.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
It's holding on.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
That was stored properly.
Yes. I have done well this time. This beer survived 2 moves. And still looks like that. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. So yeah. Gosh, I don't even know where to go.
I know.
With the show.
All right, well, how are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
I mean, do we just have to do a hard cut?
I think so. I've had to do a couple of these type shows and type intros, and they're never fun. They're never enjoyable. But we do have some news to get to, so I think we'll get into the news, and then if we meander out of there, that's how the show is going to go. You all know how the show goes. It's less of a news show and more of a me and my buddies sit around opening beer and lightly talking about the news. So that's what we're gonna do. Starting with, we've got some AMD news, and this also ties into the NVIDIA news, and it's all just kind of like one big story. But obviously, NVIDIA released the RTX 5080 and the RTX 5090 for sale on January 30th, and I think we'll actually go reverse order because I think I have. Yeah, there we go. Newegg publicly commented that RTX 50 series cards, the majority of their stock was bought in just 5 minutes. The entirety of their stock was cleared in 20. Every card that Newegg had for global distribution was out of stock within 20 minutes.
Yeah, all bots bought them too, I'm betting.
I'm betting. Yeah. Supply meet demand meet scalpers.
Yep.
So, and they are not the only retailer to give that number. The highest number that I've seen is somewhere of right around an hour. That's the highest official quote for like length of time that graphics cards were still available to purchase.
That's probably because their POS system crashed.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I know Brett over at UFD, they actually went and stood in line to get an RTX 5090 and 5080. The Micro Center that they were at had 68, I think, 5080s and something like 20 5090s. That was their entire allocation. and there were over 100 people standing in line for 16 hours to go buy them. So people were selling their early spots in line. One person sold like the number 4 spot in line for $1,500. So they got their scalper price from someone who was 70th in line.
Oh my gosh! Just like you said, the card's a luxury item.
Yeah, yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, that's literally sounding like Black Friday sale lines, how they used to be.
Yeah.
Oh my god, ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. Guys, it's just a graphics card. Like, I know I have one, but it is just a graphics card.
And yeah, such a huge boost and improvement too.
Yeah.
From the previous series.
Yeah. While the 5090 was definitely a bit of a letdown, I do like the amount of work that went into software and went into some of the AI processing. The DLSS 4 is definitely a huge upstep from DLSS 3.5. Frame gen, love it or hate it. It's actually a pretty decent technology. I liked the results that I saw early on it. Combined with NVIDIA Reflex, their anti-lag solution, we are seeing some pretty good results, whether or not you call it fake rasterization or not. Look, everything we do is fake. Just to what extent is it fake? We don't call it fake horsepower when you spray it with nitrous, do we? Like, it's still better performance. It's irritating. Yeah, graphics cards, kind of unobtainium again. I mean, I can't imagine that many people doing AI at home that's why graphics cards are evaporating into thin air. Especially when AMD 7000 series is still in stock in most places. Like, go buy a 7900 XTX or a GRE. God dang it, those are good cards. Stop only buying the NVIDIA cards. It's part of the problem. Is you can buy other people's stuff. It's okay. It works. It works really well. But yeah,
no, you gotta buy the Ferrari.
Yeah, it's coin mining all over again. Yeah.
I don't know if it's coin mining anymore. I wonder if it's more.
It's not coin mining. It's like the same situation. It's people wanting as much memory as possible on a graphics card and using it for whatever purpose.
I swear, people just even hear like, "Oh, it's helpful for AI." So like, "Oh, I gotta have it for my AI." And it's like, this has nothing to do with that.
Here, Can I even share that? Am I set up to share that? I don't think I am. Dang it. I've ranted about YouTube's AI helpful comments before, but holy crap, they were egregiously bad in my last video. The video I published this afternoon. Basically someone said like, yeah, only YouTubers got these cards. No real person will ever get them. And then one of the AI suggested comments is, yep, you nailed us. We're all shills and we're all paid by corporate to be shills. I went, that's not a comment you should be making on my behalf, YouTube. No one asked for AI generated comments. No one asked for comment suggestions. And as I posted just a second ago, my AI suggested comments have ranged from crappy generic response to wildly inaccurate to hostile disinformation.
Oh, come on, Jeff. You know they're all real. They're all you. Don't deny it.
Yeah. Rest assured, if I ever make a comment, if any one of my online handles makes a comment, I wrote it. Period.
Just doesn't know how much alcohol was in him while he wrote it.
Mhm.
That's the problem is with the AI. It's trying to counterbalance. It doesn't know, is this high ABV Jeff or is this low ABV Jeff? I just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why you got it confused. So it's all confused.
Yeah. So when are we actually going to be able to buy graphics cards? Some of the earliest forecasts that I'm seeing. Overclockers UK had a tweet that they sent out. All pre-orders have ceased. They are not taking pre-orders because they can't guarantee delivery of whenever. They're also not sure what quantity they will get in. But the numbers that I have seen have ranged from, on the low side, 6 more weeks for the next restock of RTX 5080s, to the high side of 16 weeks for RTX 5090s, and everything in between for both of those graphics cards. So when are they coming back? Not soon. Not soon at all. I mean, 6 weeks puts us at, spring break for the first potential, re-release of an RTX
Possible,
5080.
yeah.
And outwards of June for regular availability. It leads me to some thinking, and mind you, this is all 100% speculation. That I don't know that NVIDIA was really ready to launch their products. And by that I mean, I don't think they had the fabs spun up ready to run all of these consumer parts, because the fab time that they had was probably still allocated to data center. And based on it's going to be March until there's new cards on the market, that tells me that they announced it and then they were planning on spinning up consumer fabs sometime in February for a March release. Sometime around GTC, shall we say, March 17th. General availability, March 17th. That seems way more plausible.
Yeah.
That these early cards are kind of their validation runs of chips, or a small test batch, because we're not that 2,000 or 3,000 cards or whatever the global market wound up getting, but it wasn't very many. We know Micro Center in the US only got 1,000 cards for all of their stores for RTX 5080. And even less of that for the 5090. Now, granted, the 5090 is $2,000 and a luxury product, and I didn't expect many of those to be outwardly available, but you'd think more than 1,000 cards across the US. You would think.
Do you think that they did it? And I don't know this. Keyboards are...
Like I said, we are wild speculation right now. So
yeah. But did NVIDIA, I know Microsoft did this, but did they cut budget of their testing team? And are they doing a Windows 10 thing to where basically we're going to put a limited amount of cards out there and the consumer is going to debug the problems for us?
No, nothing like that. In fact, I ran into very few issues this time around, driver-wise, hardware-wise, whatever. This has actually been a relatively smooth process, although a very lengthy process because of the added scrutiny of the software side of things. Because graphics cards are not just about frames go burr. Especially when you're talking about, what's the impact of DLSS? What's the impact of ray tracing? What difference does it make in game? Should you turn it on? Which settings should you turn on? How high of a resolution should you run it? Should you let DLSS fill in some of the gaps and downsample and all of this other stuff? And gaming is not how many frames can I pump out, because if that was the goal, I'd set everything on low.
Yeah.
Gaming is about playing the game as the experience that you get. And reviewing graphics cards should not simply be about more frames equal more better. It should be about what experience does this lend me in the game that is unique or different or derivative from possibly other, cards that are on the market. And that's a way harder answer. It's a way harder question.
Do you think then for the fabs, like you were saying, if they don't want to spin it up, it's more than they want to feel what the supply and demand will be, because they'll hand it out to, like, say, reviewers like yourself and stores. They know it's going to get sold out. They know it's going to get bought out.
Yeah.
And then they're literally essentially testing the market to be like, we don't want to overproduce the amount of fabs. We know we're probably going to estimate from our own guesses. Here's the popularity of it. But let's actually release, 30-40% first, and then we'll adjust from there.
I've seen that before, but this feels like a 5% release. Okay. Like I've seen, graphics cards release and then 6 days later they're out of stock. But then stock is like 4 weeks behind, and what, like, they already had a second wave like in production during the first one. I don't think the March cards are even off the fabs yet. So yeah, I don't think that's the case either. I think this was a case of NVIDIA had the opportunity to move first, and maybe there was some fear, Skull pointed out, maybe some fear of tariffs, and maybe let's get the word out and get some low price reviews out, and get some cards in people's hands and win some hearts and minds before we have to raise prices by 30%. Maybe there's an aspect of that to it. Also, releasing early made AMD react. And I talked about this, I think, a little bit last week, of AMD had the 9070 in their slides for CES, and then at the last second pulled it and said, by the way, RDNA 4 coming this year. It's like, that's not what you talked about. That's not what your slides said. Your slides had a 9070, and then also, like, January 17th, some website ads went live for the best AMD gaming card ever, the RX 9070 XT. Buy it now. And because AMD bought ads for a release for a graphics card that they ended up delaying. So AMD was supposed to announce in CES and then didn't. And I don't think NVIDIA was actually supposed to announce and release at CES, and they did. And so whether it was one company reacting to the other or both companies reacting to each other. But something weird went down. And it's going to continue to be weird. The good news is that Lisa Su, AMD CEO, has confirmed that 9070 series will arrive in early March and promises 4K mainstream gaming. What that means exactly, I don't know, because while the 5090 can finally play games and ray trace natively with no DLSS, and even path trace natively with no DLSS at 4K, in Cyberpunk it was like 82 frames per second with full path tracing. Which is still hybrid rendering because we're barely tracing any paths, and it was still delayed by 3 to 6 frames from the rendering engine, which led to some graphical anomalies, which I covered in my 5090 review. Is the 9070 going to beat the 5090? No. Is it going to beat the 5080? I think it may be competitive, especially given the early price points that I saw of $899, the rumor mill that was ramping up towards CES, of $900. Sure, I think it's going to definitely be competitive with that 4080 Super, 5080 type performance. But it's going to fall short of the 4090. It's going to fall short of the 5090. And where is AMD at for ray tracing when it comes to RDNA 4? Have they closed the gap with NVIDIA? Is there as big of a performance hit now? Where is FSR 3? and FSR4 for their upscaling tech. How well is that going to work? Are the graphical anomalies similar, different, worse, better? That's all going to play into who wins this graphics card battle more than frames go burr.
Do you think that the timing of this launch has anything to do with the possibility of them probably knowing the 40 series, what, you know, was going to get sold out, and they knew that there's no way they can keep up with demand, and how long it was probably going to take them. So are they ramping up production? We don't know that, but you know, obviously there's a March release, and basically they might be saying, we're going to guarantee, you know, stock is fully supplied, and you're going to get it, whether it's not as good, but yeah, guess what? It's here. You have it.
Right. We
have it, you know, for you. So I don't know. That was in itself. Someone in the chat said that, and I was like, that's not. I don't know. Corporate does. A lot of corporate people know the ins and outs of a lot of small things. So
yeah,
and a lot of these companies do trade employees really quite often.
Yeah. What we do know is the 9070. Did we have the RAM figure?
The 16 gig RAM?
How much RAM? Yeah.
16. Oh no. That was the NVIDIA.
Yeah. 16 gig. Okay, yeah, 9070 XT estimated to be 16 gig, or rumored to be 16 gigabyte. And that's actually what Tom's Hardware is reporting as well. Both the 9070 XT and its non-XT are rumored to offer 16 gigs of VRAM, with the latter reportedly within 5% of the RTX 4080 in raster. Oh, so it's within 9% of the RTX 5080 in raster. Haha. But and AMD also confirmed the existence of a 9060 series. So possibly a Computex launch, possibly, you know, April, May, for that announcement there. But yeah, $899. If it falls into that 4080 Super, 4080, if it's within the 4080, they didn't specifically say the 4080 Super, but within the 4080, I think that's a little bit of a letdown, because there was a 10 to 12 to 15% gap in performance, which means I'm actually not seeing if the 9070 XT is all that much faster than a 7900 XTX. Like, I'd have to go back and review some charts, but the XTX was already pretty darn good. Hold on. Hold on. Hey. Here we go. Let's go. Average overall. Yeah. Here's eTechnics 1440p review for the RTX 5080. Sorry for the weird scaling. The 4080 and the 4080 Super are sitting right there at 230 FPS. 7900 XTX coming in at 225. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's within 5% of 4080. So yeah, this is going to land identically with a 7900 XTX. It better have some software side improvements and better ray tracing and better FSR. That's what I'll say about that.
They didn't mention, anyone say price? I haven't seen any prices on a couple.
The rumored price was $899, although I've heard that's part of the reason that AMD pulled the announcement, was they were worried about how close it was to the 5080. They were worried their market segmentation was wrong. I will not quote a source, but that's what I've heard. So yeah. Yeah.
My keyboard is like freaking out. So.
I was gonna say, how's your Deftones beer?
You know, it's a nice, well-rounded, like Northwest Citra hop beer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear. I can see through it. The bubbles are, I don't know if I get this on camera.
Oh yeah.
But
oh
nice,
dude,
nice.
For those wondering
bubbles.
why I laser etch the bottom of the glass, that right there.
Yeah.
That
so
right there.
It's really nice. Great. It's an all-around fantastic barbecue burger. You know, I want a big bacon burger with this beer type of thing. It's that type of IPA. It's not thick. It's a little sweet in the malt, and the hoppiness is like all Citra hop type thing. So very bright in there. So yeah, very good pub-esque IPA.
Nice.
How's your trip in the woods?
Oh boy. The currants, it's got red and black currants as well as the bourbon barrel aging to it. Gives it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's not quite as dark as I would like it to be. Like it actually brightened up the beer a little bit. Not like in a sour kind of way.
That's exactly what I was going to ask, if it soured it.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of a tartness to it. It does. It's not far enough for me to call it sour. But chocolate covered cherry, but like a Bing cherry where it's a little bit puckering, and like dark chocolate. So
yeah, well the bourbon would probably, and the bourbon and the malt probably gives it that super dark chocolate, and the black currant. Yeah. I can see it as being one of those like black cherry type things.
It's not sour, but it's got just a little tang to it.
Yeah, bourbon chocolate fruit.
Yes. Yeah, it's bourbon with dried pomegranates.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I bet it probably, that description makes me think of, you know, those Costco chocolates with the alcohol in it.
Yeah.
And then like someone put fruit in that, like, or you just had a fruit and a bite of one of those.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me think of that.
A little bit. Yeah. 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 It's interesting. It's good. It's really good. Little bit of that German chocolate cake on the back end, like that's what's keeping it kind of grounded, is that back end of like just super rich dark chocolate.
My keyboard just started working in. I don't get this stupid thing. I'm actually getting to like sit at, I went and bought a nice desk.
Nice.
and a workstation for my studio, and I was like, all right, I get to try this. And then I got a keyboard and a mouse. It's like, oh great, I even got my Enterprise mouse pad, which is a giant long, it's got the long range scanner. It's the
nice. Oh, you got an Elcar's mouse mat.
Yeah, Elcar's
nice.
mouse pad. Yeah, so it's like, oh, this is great. And my keyboard just like, for some reason, I've been trying to unplug the USB and everything, and it's like it wasn't connecting this whole time. Like up until I think you hit start, it was working perfectly. I even did a comment earlier, and then all of a sudden, as you're shooting, I'm just like, come on, keyboard. Yeah, I know I'm sitting at a weird angle. I'm still working things out.
Work in progress. It's all right.
It's a work in progress. I like it nicer though, because I'm at a desk. Everyone's at a desk, and I was always in a chair.
Yeah.
Far away, and this gives me access. Now I have a big keyboard. I got my monitor in front of me, my microphone. Everything's nice. I feel like a YouTuber, a streamer now. I'm cool.
When I finally build my studio, which I'm hoping is sometime in the first half of this year, I actually want to set up a podcast area where if we wanted to do in-person podcasts again, we could. And I want to do it with a couple of like easy chairs, like smoking chairs, kind of thing. But I want to do it where I mount like a monitor arm and a keyboard and mouse to the leg of it, so you could just swing that out and have it off to your side. So if you want to face like a single camera, you're still right there and you're still visible. But then you've got the keyboard and mouse and monitor just kind of, alongside you, so you can access it and have your notes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but you're comfortable and you can sit back and you got your bourbon and a pipe or whatever have you, and like that's ideally what I want to set up.
How are plans going for your studio?
I think I've dialed in on what I want. Right now I'm waiting for the revenue to kick back up. Every time I find a new ad partner, and we'll talk a little bit of shop here. The last 18 months has been pretty rough financially for the channel, because I had a number of large ad partners who ran regular ads, like 2 ads per month. And then both of them at the same time went, we're going to stop all YouTube ads. And they did, with everyone, not just with me. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks. And it's like, okay, where do I find 4 ad integrations per month? It's a lot of work to find ad integrations and to get that working relationship with companies and whatnot, to where they want to work with you and support you and things like that. And you have to also show a return. And I think my ads, are creative and engaging is what I want them to be, because I don't ever want you to click off a video because it's a boring ad read. Today's video is brought to you by the blah 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 and the blah 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 thing that just came out, which is like every other thing on the market. It has tempered glass and RGB, and click the link down in the video description to learn more. Like I hate, and no offense to anyone who does those, I wish I could do those and make money, but I don't like that style of ad. And I don't want people to get bored and click off my videos. I want them to be, holy crap, that ad went hard. That's what I want.
And that's also effort too, to come up with the idea and shoot it and edit it. And just like you're saying too, one-man crew, that's hard.
And what's funny is I mentioned that that finding ad partners has been difficult, and immediately I get the only ads I watch without fast forwarding, the AG1 beer, which I only did once. I ran an ad for AG1 one time. But people remember it because it was funny. Bring back Manscaped. Yes. Don't use the wrong tool in the bathroom. The hedge clipper is the incorrect tool.
I've been using the scissors from my son's school crafts this whole time.
Yeah. Hey, my favorite Manscaped ad was the Christmas ad. Hang your jingle balls with care.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite one. My favorite one was the saxophone.
The saxophone one.
I did a.
I don't remember. I think I saw that one.
We did a smooth jazz Manscaped ad, where it was me playing a MIDI clarinet, with Rhett playing piano in the background, and it was the Manscaped. Shaving tomatoes, that was also good. Yeah, the dill tomatoes, yes. Just finding those good matches between me and companies that I want to work with and companies that want to work with me. It's challenging and it takes a lot of time. I've got a couple in the works right now that I'm hoping to bring on long term, but when you lose them, that's 60 to 70% of my revenue. And it's like part of me has to keep the channel going and everything else, but also part of me needs to just go, you know what? I'm not going to publish a video this week. I just need to shake hands and kiss babies and get a couple ads sold. But the problem is if you're not producing regular videos, you sell less ads because people go, oh, you haven't posted anything in 10 days. How am I supposed to know that you're going to publish on schedule? So yeah, it's a weird business. But hopefully with the launch of my temp sensors, which is coming up, we've ordered the validation run of my power over Ethernet temp sensor. And hopefully we'll have an announcement here in about the next 3 to 4 weeks. There should be something coming up very, very soon. So stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, whatever. Watch out for that one. But also bringing in more ad revenue. Hopefully I'll be able to finally like go, okay, now I have the extra scratch. Let's build the studio. Yeah. I think I've settled on an 18 by 32 foot structure. I can go 16 if I go prefab, but I'd like to do 18 if I can. And
you're going 2-story, right?
And I want to go 2-story with it. Exactly. And so that's a little over 1,100 square feet when it's all said and done. It gives me plenty of storage. It gives me a dedicated space to do merch manufacturing and shipping and receiving. And hold back stock items and things like that. It gives me a dedicated shooting area. It gives me dedicated storage. It also gives me room enough for an upstairs where I'm going to have my editing den and podcast area and things like that. Things that I don't necessarily need to be like camera ready all the time, but I can sit down and I can edit a video, or I can sit down and do the podcast. And it's a different area than my everyday working space as well.
Yeah. Well, the nice part too about that type of thing, and I know this from working from home for, over 10 years, it's so beneficial, even if it's in your backyard, to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Like you're still working from home, but you're like, I feel I'm not saying that there's a knock on people that do stay at home or anything else, but it is a different feeling. And a lot of times once you do that, it does feel like, okay, you almost feel more ready to go type of a thing. You want to be more productive. You did get out of the house theoretically.
I had to put on shoes, which means I had to get dressed, which means I had to shower, which means I had to feel good enough to do all those things. And now I can walk out to a space that's strictly a working space. Yeah. That I don't have 3 kids running up and down the stairs constantly yelling at each other, or
I don't hear the arguments of day to day going on. Of things. I don't hear the toilet just got flushed, the washing machine just got drained, something like that.
I work next to my laundry room. It's right there.
Right there. Type of a thing. You don't hear that bing, and then the dryer's done. I mean, I get it. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's like, if you can step away, and even my wife, she's always like on the weekends, like, you need time to relax and go do something and stuff. So I'll just go into my studio, and I was like, that's where I'm going to watch a movie, because I'm not going to watch it on my couch. My couch is way more comfortable, but I'm back in my couch, and I just sit there and I see the things like, I gotta go mow the lawn, I gotta go do this, I should probably go do this, or it takes me out. When I'm in my shed, I can turn the lights off, or my studio, I can turn the lights off, I can have a little drink, and it's like I can mentally escape saying, all right, I'm not home, or I did something, even though I'm literally only 40 feet away from my house. So it is nice to be able to do that, and the benefits of being able to, if you have that large of a space, that'll be nice for your studio, and it'll also help with production too.
Right.
Yeah.
I've said this many times. One of the reasons that sometimes I'm a little bit slow on content is if something goes wrong, this space that I shoot at is also my workbench. When I'm working on something, I put something on the bench, and I do all my testing on my streaming PC right here. This is my OBS capture studio as well for all of my benchmark numbers, all of my everything else. If something goes wrong, it's 3 hours to reset to work on a different project. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's really not, because I need to disassemble what I'm working on. I need to find a place for it in the garage or in the office. I need to dig out whatever the next project is, get reassociated and reacquainted with it all. Plug it all in. Oh crap, this test bench doesn't have the right version of Windows. Let's go ahead and install that. Oh crap, where's this one thing that I needed for this thing to work? And because I work on very complicated things. I'm not just reviewing a graphics card. If that's all I was doing, I'd have 3 test benches in the back that were all set up with like networked Steam accounts and everything else, and you just plug in a graphics card and you go. That's not what I do though. I do like in-depth tutorials and home labbing stuff and a little bit more creative endeavors. And you have these projects that sit in bins that you have to bring out and then remember how it all goes together like this really complicated puzzle. And it's not a simple task of just switching gears and going and working on something else.
Yeah, oh no, totally. And the nice part with that amount of room, you could have theoretically a couple extra workstations, in your upstairs studio. You could, I'm gonna set up a shot here. Oh, I didn't get to it. Well, I can leave it for a couple days and you go back to it. It's exactly how it was. You're good to go,
Right.
It is hard. That's why every time I do something, it's like, all right, if I'm going to shoot something, I'll have to shoot 3 because I know I can't, I have to disassemble things. I have to do, I don't have the space to have multiple shots. I have to do everything all at once. And then it takes time to do it. Adjust the single camera I have that I'm doing things all around. If I had more, and it'd be great to be able to have a B-roll station to where, okay, I'm gonna have a dedicated camera for B-roll. Here we go. I'll place this here. It's set up to do that. And it's nice to do that, to be able to have that. But that also shows it's like, even with as large as of a channel you are, it's still hard. It's a lot of work. It's a full-time job. And it's not everyone always sits there and thinks, oh, these YouTubers or content creators or whatever you want to call them nowadays, oh, it's a simple job. Yeah, when you're in the million plus subs and you have people working for you,
right?
But most of these people in the 100 to under a million subs, 1 to 3 people. Yeah, that's usually what it is. And and
I had a second person, and they were very beneficial to the channel. But the role that I had them in, I haven't really talked about this at all, and I'm not going to speak too many specifics. Rhett was great, and I wish I could hire Rhett back literally tomorrow. But I brought Rhett in to grow the business financially. And after a year and a half, my finances were 100% flatlined from the day I brought him in. And it's not that he wasn't doing good work, and it's not that my content didn't improve over that time, and it wasn't that I wasn't continuing to grow. It was, even though we were filling all of our ad spots, I was bringing home the same amount of money, the channel was bringing in the same amount of revenue, and it didn't make sense to keep him on when I could do the work myself and make the same amount of money. And it's a good thing I did cut him, because literally the next month I got, and it's a conversation Rhett and I had over 6 months. Like I told him like in February, hey, we flatlined over 12 months and I brought you in so we could make more revenue. I don't know if we need to change your role. I don't know if we need to do more things or what the circumstance is, but the line does need to go up at some point. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And we were 100% on the same page. And then by June, it was, the line still hasn't gone up. And I think like we're going to have to start winding you down and whatnot. And, it was a very open conversation. And then in August, all of my ad revenue dried up. And it's like, oh, I'm glad I made some cuts, because suddenly 60% of my revenue got pulled out from under my feet. I wouldn't have had the money in August to pay him anyway.
And obviously, we all know Rhett's still around, and so there's no bad blood or anything.
We still do things together. I still see him for lunch at least once a month. Like we're still very much friends. And like I said, if I had the finances, I would hire him back tomorrow. But line needs to go up, and line wasn't going up. So that's probably a failure on me as a manager more than anything else, of not putting ourselves in a better position to succeed. but I didn't necessarily know what I needed at the time. So
Yeah,
I thought I did, but that wasn't it. So
well, and the nice part too is that,
and eventually we'll try it again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there'll be something similar. Try it again. Mm-hmm. But the nice part, like you said, the channel did grow. It may not have grown in the way you wanted, but it did grow in like a community aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
It was very well open, and so there's a lot of things there. And if you want to be part of that, you want to have to join the Discord, which is minimum only $1 a month, but you can always do more. Where if you want to be part of such a great community, you need to check that out, because one, there's a drinking channel, there's a media channel, there is also an embassy. We call it the embassy, but other creators can post some of their tech stuff. I do the beer stuff. There's general chat. There's a dedicated chat room just for this show. There's bartering in there. A lot of stuff gets sold. Yeah. It's a great community. Honestly, I'm a member of a bunch of different Discords. A lot of mine are beer oriented, and you would think a lot of drunk people talk a lot. They don't, honestly. Mm-hmm. It's boring stuff. This channel, I actually engage with the most. I guarantee you, $1 a month, give it a try. Join it. The link is in the description below. I pimp this channel out, but really, it is fun. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of revenue, if you guys do like the channel, you want to help out, craftcomputing.store. Go buy some merch. Speaking of like trying to do everything the right way, I make all of my merch in-house. I design all of my merch 100% in-house. This laser-etched pint glass, I made 30 feet from where I'm sitting right now. I designed it at this computer. I drew it all up.
My merch is there.
Yeah, John has merch there, and sometimes it even sells. I had to make a bottle opener, a Hops and Brews bottle opener last week, and I'm like, crap, I don't know if I remember how to do this one. Yeah, it was kind of funny because some of the merch like flies off the shelf. Like I make a dozen of these a week, if not more. And I'd love to make more because I actually do make money on my merch. Although tariffs, my costs are probably going to increase, so I'm probably going to have to up prices here before too long, which sucks. Because I also like that my merch is reasonably priced, like $16 for a pint glass. I'm not charging $24, $28, $30 for a pint. It's $16 for a pint. It's 2 of them for $32. I offer free shipping. Like I'm trying to do all the right things and still be profitable because I own 100% of the overhead. And so why not?
Yeah, $16 for a pint glass actually is extremely cheap.
Yeah.
I mean most places it's $19.99 to $20. Yeah. That's your local place. And then the bigger places it's like $25. So if you find $16 for a pint glass, custom handmade too. That's the thing. Yeah, that with excellent etching too, by the way, if you didn't see the demonstration earlier. No, $16 is a hell of a steal.
Yeah. You may have to go up to 18 or 20 before too long. It's just economics of it. But yeah. Jay Wilson asks, do Floatplane subs get access to the Discord? Yes. Both Patreon and Floatplane get access to the Discord. Sorry, I just had to text a friend of mine. Just a second. I'm gonna have to. One sec, I gotta send a text because this is just funny. Oops.
I assume Justin in the chat just subscribed, and I assume that came with a sub to Hops and Brews, right? Right. If you don't, you will miss out on some content where Craft Computing himself has visited, especially recently. And I am the only person to have ever gotten him to do something that we have tried to get him to do for what was 5 years.
You're not the only. You're the second.
Oh wait. Oh, that's right. There is a
PC.
Well, they paid you to do it.
They paid me, but there is a PC named Pickle Beer because of it.
Yeah, they gave you something very nice.
Yeah. Yes.
A couple things actually, if I recall.
They're a friend of the show. Yeah, Justin, welcome, new member. And Skull coming out there with a 77 going, what's up? Unfortunately, I don't have a Discord integration for YouTube memberships, but I appreciate it all the same. I need to get something rolling for YouTube memberships. And in fact, I've been looking for different ways to incentivize some different memberships. Again, trying to increase revenue, but also give a return to those who want to engage with the community and want to support an independent creator like myself. I've been thinking potential new like exclusive merch drops. I've been thinking merch discounts. I've been thinking like monthly coupon codes for merch discounts for members. I've been thinking giveaways gets a little weird because that technically qualifies as a raffle, and you can't do anything for raffle in the state of Oregon. No. Like raffles are illegal unless you're a school district or the Girl Scouts. And even then it's dubious, which sucks. But yeah, I've been looking at a number of different ways to like increase people to give me $1. If every one of my subs could give me $1 a month.
Rhett's hired again.
Okay. Yeah. Rhett's hired again. I have 360,000 subs.
I'm hired.
If I could monetize them, if I could monetize my subs for $1 a year, 100%. It'd take 100%. Even 10% on a monthly basis, like $36,000 a month. Like, yeah, I could do some stuff with that. I make 7, sometimes 8 right now. If I sell out my ads, I make 14. But I'm not making bank. And believe it or not, it costs a lot to do this. Like that's just revenue, not just
Well, you got to buy the bandwidth literally to stream. You got to buy parts. 90% of your channel, you're buying your own parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah.
Merch discounts are an awesome idea. What do you guys want to see? What would sell you on a membership? What would sell you on giving Jeff $1 or $2 a month? What would be an incentive for you guys? Let's open this up. Let's talk about this, because
that's not a bad, because we already do a whole like extra content on the channel, literally, of after this show there's an after show on the Discord,
right?
So there's already like, oh hey, and if you do join the Discord, you tag any of the hosts, you will get a response within like minutes, literally minutes, of us, because we're all on there. Mods are excellent. There's great resources on there for any type of help.
Steve and I wake up at like 5 a.m. Pacific. Most of us don't go to bed until midnight or 2. And so there's only like a 3-hour gap that we have the Europeans cover for mods.
I mean, so far, I think someone suggested more pickle beer from you. So I don't, you know, for every sub, 1 pickle beer from Jeff.
Look, I'm not saying no to Dance Monkey Dance suggestions, but at the same time, access to the Craft Computing OnlyFans page. Yeah. Although that would be another subscription in addition to either the Patreon or the float plane. RTX cereal super coasters and other insider merch options. Yeah, I could look at doing that. I'm actually looking at I've been talking about this for a while, but doing a full refresh on all of my merch to re-up it for this year.
Yeah, you know what might not be bad is the option to like slightly customized merch or exclusive merch just for members, something like that.
Yeah, but if members would buy it, so would non-members, and would members pay 3 times as much to make up the difference?
Well, I maybe, you don't know. Or you give them the option to, you know, they can customize their own message on something if they wanted to, knowing that you have to do it because you're the one doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's this something like that.
Yeah. Do you have mouse pads? Do you have t-shirts? Do you have this? When it comes to merch, I want to own the means of production. And so one of the things that I want to get this year is a DTF or a DTM printer. So I can actually produce my own shirts in-house. Because again, then I've looked at doing t-shirt runs with like Teespring or
it's hard.
It's
so
hard,
annoying.
And I make jack.
Yeah, and the quality of those shirts aren't that great. I mean, they are the stiffest, bleached, hardened shirts that you're like, oh, it's cotton. It's like, no, it's so much. And to get a good quality shirt, you through those companies, the Patreon or person would have to pay outrageous amounts. I mean, you're talking $45, probably $50 for a t-shirt that, in all honesty, probably cost them $5 and then $5 to print. And then so $10, and then you're gonna make $250 off of that $40.
Most of the t-shirt deals that I've looked into, I would have to charge $28 a shirt, and I make sub $4. And that's like being very generous.
It's the whole, you dictate the price, and then here's what we take, and you can generate whatever you want after that. And it's like,
I will be fully honest. Do you guys want to peek behind the curtain at merchandising here? Okay. If I wanted to have a company etch my design for my pint glass, that is the outside of the pint glass and the bottom etching. There's two different processes there. I would likely pay $16 to $18 per pint glass, which means I would have to charge you $30, and I would make less than $10 on every sale of every pint glass every time I got one. And I would have to stock them, because it's not a print on demand thing. This is not. Well, if any other company did, it is for me. But if any other company made me pint glasses, I would buy 200 pint glasses at a time. Which means I would have to front up, what's that, $20 times 100? I'd have to front $2,000 for pint glasses, and then sell 200 of them to make $3,000. If I'm really that lucky. And that's just the gross product. That's not including boxing or packaging, or because you have to put the pint glass in a box, and then you have to put that box into a box with packing material so you can ship that box. You have to label the box. You have to own the things to do all of the weighing and packing tape and everything else. Like, that's all. Yeah, it's all like nickel and dime stuff, but after 3,000 packages, it's no longer nickel and dime. So am I looking at $6 profit per glass? Do you know what I pay for my glasses wholesale?
Those ones, as plain glasses, they're probably $250, $249, something like that.
$1.70. Now, I paid $3,000 for my CO2 galvo laser and rotary system and everything else. It was about $3,000 for that system. But now I chuck a glass into the... By the way, I paid off the rotary system the first 3 weeks of owning it by selling merchandise. But now the rotary system is already paid for. Now I will eventually need to buy a new laser tube for it and things like that. There's maintenance costs on it. But now I spend $1.70 on a glass. I etch it, and I still have $1 box that I put it into, and another $1 box, and another 20 cents in packaging. So $2.20 for packaging. The packaging costs more than the glass that I'm shipping you. Like, that's the reality of shipping and receiving. But even offering free shipping, if you buy 2 items, you get free shipping in the US. Because any order over 35 gets free shipping. So I lose $7 or $8 or $10 there, but I make net on this $12 to $14 selling this at $16 because I do it myself. T-shirts are the same way.
Yeah, well, and same thing too. But you're not also calculating your labor time, because, you know this is just part of your job. This is part of everything, and so there's that. But then that comes back with being independent and doing things and understanding. There's a difference too of when I was talking about working from home, independent and doing things for yourself, and especially when you're an independent either worker or contractor. Because there was kind of a chat about this in the mods Discord of when you do that, there's self-satisfaction. You will go ahead and work 10, 12 hours a day, and you will not feel as exhausted as working like your typical 9 to 5, 8 hours, going to the office and driving back. When you're passionate about something and that's your job, you'll gladly put it in. And especially when you're wanting the quality to produce out there, and then you get reviews back from people like, this is a great quality item, similar to the ads that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Of what you remember of people commenting, they're memorable because you put time and effort into. You could have just sat there taking the contract. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say, hey, today's video is sponsored by so-and-so, and remember to take so-and-so and lift up the product in your video, put it down, done. You know, obligation done. You wanted to make your mark and be like, I want to put pride in this and everything like that. So yeah, it's again, same thing with the t-shirts. You want quality. You don't want just generic things to do generic things. They're going to be bad t-shirts. You want to make sure you're going through good stuff, and an double etched glass is expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, and also it's not even like single-sided too. It's fully around. You have multiple designs too. You have multiple glasswares.
All of my stuff is 100% unique. Every item on the store. There's only one case where I reuse a design on multiple things. The tumbler is a completely unique circuit design from the pint glass. They're completely different. They share elements, but they're completely different design for two completely different objects to wrap everything around fully. The one that I do share a design on is the Code Rain. That is actually the same design, although scaled differently for the tumbler and for the pint glass. There was also 40 glasses lost in the development process of each etching. And like 15 tumblers lost. And these are $8 a piece. Even my cost on them. Like these are not cheap. The double vacuum sealed, like fantastic tumblers. Like Stanley and Yeti could learn a thing from these tumblers. Like they're really, really good.
What you need to do, Jeff, is you need to make them bigger, like obscurely too big to where they don't fit in things, and then you need to go to the nearest Starbucks and hand it all to the soccer moms, and they're going to make it viral, and everyone's going to need to buy it from you. And that's it. There you go. And add like really weird pastel colors. And boom, done. You're going to go viral with your merch. Everyone's like, this is the greatest water bottle ever, or coffee tumbler ever. Easy peasy.
Yeah, members get the cast-offs. The problem is there's not that many cast-offs because I'm so good at what I do anymore. Like, now I know that's funny, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with merch is, if I was constantly miscutting items, I'd be screwed.
Oh no, I'm just, it was just funny because I do remember when there was a slight learning curve at the very beginning, but then after that it was all fine. But
yeah, I showed John the 2.5 cases of glassware it took for me to get the etching right. Because etching glass is weird, and each glass, each manufacturer, each OEM of glassware has their own recipe of glass that they use, and it all reacts differently under a CO2 laser. And I don't want to use marking spray because that's another cost item. That's another thing that I have to keep in hand.
It's not as good either.
It's not as good either. I like this etch. I really like this etch. And I got the right amount of contrast out of it. I think it looks fantastic. I've used marking spray before, and in fact, on some of my smaller items that I've attempted to do, I did have to use some marking spray. and I didn't like the look of it when it was done.
It's not as nice.
Yeah. But getting these glasses to turn out this way means dialing your laser to an exact setting, an exact speed, an exact power level, an exact frequency, and doing a lot of experimentation. I had glass where it was etching through the first like third of a millimeter of the glass and splintering it and then curling up on the edge. So you would end up with like these glass splinters instead of an etch. I had it where if we went too slow, it would heat up the glass and fracture it. And in fact, that's why a lot of my smaller items never made it to market. I had a wine glass and a stemless Glencairn glass that I was looking at bringing to market. And I couldn't get the etch of my logo right because my logo was too high contrast. It involved the laser being on the object for too long. And I ended up breaking 2 out of every 3 glasses that I put on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much for craft computing cloud storage? You can't afford me. Nor will I make my IP address public in any way, shape, or form. For that, 01 hosting. I'll give Yakto a free shout out. So how many of the bad glasses are also unusable? 100%. If I etch a glass incorrectly now, it's because the glass broke. Yeah. There is the occasional miscut on like a flask, but it's because I loaded up the wrong program or I had the laser set at the wrong level, like height adjustment wise, and it like ghost cut the item, and it looks like crap. Like, it's not a miscut like you might imagine. Like, it's not like, you know, I'm taking a piece of wood on a router table and the piece of wood got away from me and ended up like a wavy grain on one side of it. Like, and then we just built the bed anyway. No, that's not how it works. It's like, if my laser gets out of control on me, the glass just splits right there and ceases to be a vessel to hold liquids. And definitely nothing that I can sell. Even on like do you want this for $1? No, it's literally a prison shank. So yeah. Love my whiskey stones. Love to hear it. I am working on a 2-inch whiskey stone that I found.
So you're getting
an actual rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, oh, that's a fucking rock.
Actual rock, right?
See, the problem is with those is that would break the glass.
Hold on, I have it over here. Hold
on. All right. What do we got? Holy cow, look at that thing.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Right? Now, you look at this and you go, oh my God, that's beautiful. That looks like a thing. There are so many considerations to this. Like, you can see in the reflection right now, this is where the edge was fused, is along.
Yeah, no, it's not perfect.
Right. Is along, God, if I could touch it. There.
Yeah, I can see, yeah.
Yeah, that seam right there.
Yeah. I can see all 4. Like, yeah, there's almost a cross section.
Yeah. That's where it was folded out and then fused. If you look at the top, that is completely smooth. Although there is still a dimple in there. Yeah. Right, there's a dent in this one. Do I sell this one? Is that acceptable? I don't know. I've never done this before. But you can see around this whole edge where they put the two together and then polished it smooth. There's that crease going right down the middle on this seam. So they took 2 halves and they welded it together and then fused it. This one is also it's glycol filled, just like the smaller ones that I sell, but there's a lot less liquid to surface area of this. So is this going to be as effective as cooling? Are people going to like the multi-material thing, or are they happier with the smaller ones? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much better this is. And also the seam on it is going to make, where do I engrave it and do I have to pay attention to it? Can I hand this off to someone else, my wife or someone else to cut? Or do I have to be in charge of these 100%?
Interesting.
Also, when doing the stones, you notice that I only handled this for like 30 seconds and it was covered in fingerprints, because these just attract fingerprints like nothing else.
Oh yeah.
I have a standing policy of anytime I'm doing these, we're wearing rubber gloves, because from the full out of the box to on the machine to back in the box and everything in between, you can't send out an item that has fingerprints on it. Like, that is horrible. And so there's a whole procedure that goes into how you actually manufacture these things and do the etching. Will the etching that I want to do on this survive? Will it, is the metal thick enough where it will survive the laser? Because even on the small rocks, I had to dial in my laser to a point where it didn't just burn a hole through a rock. There's so many things that goes into, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to laser etch some shit. It's way more complicated than that. So, yeah. It's fun. Whiskey Boulder. Nice Veronica. What about beer and alcohol sponsors? That opens a paradigm and no. It's probably not going to happen.
There is something we do on this channel that is, we drink on this channel, but we're not encouraging the consumption of, like, hey, go buy this brand, go do this. We are very self-aware of, this is an adult beverage. We are very careful with this. And even sponsorships of that type of stuff, that's very dangerous.
Yeah. In the history of craft computing, in the nearly 8-year history of craft computing. By the way, again, Bomber, I get another glass.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna go get my other beer then.
In the history of craft computing, I have accepted product from one brewery ever.
I know which one that is.
It was Rogue. Rogue was trying to do some influencer marketing, and this was for the
it was the Penguin one. I forget.
Yeah, the Penguin, the
like Snowcap IPA or something like
Live
that.
Free IPA. It was some kind of IPA that they were doing. And
remember
they sent
the logo was a penguin.
Yeah. And they said, hey, would you feature this on your channel? And then we'd also like to sponsor a giveaway. And I went, sure. Ooh, Voodoo Ranger.
Yeah.
Tropic Force?
It's their pineapple one.
Nice. That is such a good one.
It is such a good one.
They said, we're going to send you a 6-pack of beer, and then we also would like to sponsor a giveaway on your channel. You can stipulate how you want to do the giveaway, who you want to give it away to. Doesn't matter, as long as you hashtag giveaway, hashtag Rogue Brewery, whatever else, Rogue Ales and Spirits. And then give us the address of whoever won, and we'll ship out a package. And I said, that sounds great. And so I literally had them sponsor an episode of Talking Heads, unpaid. They literally sent me a 6-pack, and John and I had a couple of Rogue beers on the show, and then we also opened some other beers. And then I said, for the giveaway, make me laugh. In the comments after this video is done, make me laugh, and the best comment wins. And then in the next week, we read some of the comments, and one of the people won, and I gave Rogue the address, and they sent out like some pint glasses. And that was it. That's the only interaction with alcohol companies I've ever had. The reason being is every state, every nation, every jurisdiction, municipality, whatever else, has their own rules when it comes to the advertisement of alcohol. What's allowed, and more specifically, what's definitely not allowed. And I don't ever want to fall on the wrong side of one of those. I don't mind if breweries would like to send me beer. Like, that's one thing. If a brewery or distillery or whoever's watching goes, hey Jeff, could we hook you up with a couple 6-packs a month? Yeah, absolutely. I'll drink them on the channel. It's beer. I'll review it, just like I do
Everything else, yeah.
NVIDIA sends me graphics cards. Guess what? They show up, I review them. That's the arrangement. There's no monetary arrangement. There's no, cash for play or anything like that. It's, hey, can we send you these things? And would you be interested in showing them on the channel? Yeah. And sometimes no. And that's okay. I was looking actually back through all of my stuff. Speaking of, NVIDIA sent me a 4080 Super. I was so disinterested in it, I never did a video on it. Guess what? They sent me the next video card anyway. So that's how influencer marketing works, is you send something and you hope it makes it to air. If a brewery is watching, I wouldn't mind getting beer. Reach out. I'll drink your beer on the channel. If you want to send multiples, I'll make sure my co-hosts have them. So we can open the same beer at the same time, because that's always fun. And yeah, we'll figure that out. But yeah, as far as taking money, you run afoul of so many state and federal laws so fast. There's a reason that only the biggest breweries advertise, and they advertise with, I don't know how Corona gets away with barely any postscript in their Christmas ads, when they have like the palm tree lighting up with the Christmas lights. Yeah. And then there's like one line that says drink responsibly. It's like, no, there's so much more that goes into state and federal laws than what you just disclosed.
Yeah. There's also, even on top of everything you're saying, there's even like YouTube algorithm streaming too, of that they'll go, and if you do it too often, they're like, oh, this is not technically kid friendly or family friendly. This is a 21 and over, and you just cut off a huge portion of your audience. And the YouTube algorithm that constantly is always changing, every streamer knows this. Yeah. And to get back in that good graces is a lot harder than just saying, you know what, you can go ahead, I can drink on the show and state that, hey, we're doing this, and you tell us what you're having and water or not otherwise. But it's different to take a sponsorship. And in my video saying, I am sponsored by so-and-so. By the way, kids, here's the next graphics card. Yeah, they're not going to take too kindly to that.
Yeah.
You might get away with one, maybe two, but you want to risk your whole channel and the viewership and reach that it's going to hit? Probably not.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
that's why. How did we get to this subject anyway?
Talking shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So my opening beer mail tonight. No, still no, because I'm waiting to do the full live show. Because
someone in the chat did ask if that's still back on.
I need to schedule a date. I'm glad I didn't schedule it for this week or next, based on our private chat earlier today. Maybe, I'm just gonna say it. How's the 26th work for you?
Oh, what is that? That's Wednesday.
Wednesday the 26th.
I'm gonna be.
So no, okay.
Probably. So funny. The reason I got this Deftones beer is I'm going to the Deftones show on the 25th, and I probably won't get home till like 2 a.m.
Right.
On that Tuesday.
And then the whole
and also my wife will be like, "You're doing what? You were just gone."
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, no, I do know Steve and I are also, when is that? We're going on a beach trip.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember when. I think that's sometime in March. So yeah, that'll be toward the end of, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
We have a buddy, and my brother's coming up, and he's doing like his annual beach guy trip for his birthday, and so we'll go this year.
That's actually perfect, because the 19th I'm going to be in San Jose. So we'll be doing a live show remotely with some special guests who will be announced before too long. More than likely, yet again at Fault Line Brewing in Santa Clara. So I haven't cleared this with Fault Line Brewing yet, but they've been very gracious to us the last couple times we've asked to do it. So I'm just going to say Fault Line Brewing Santa Clara, March 19th, live Talking Heads. Because I want to go there again, because they're fantastic German-inspired beer, really good food, and fantastic atmosphere. So if they say no, I'm going to be devastated. But if you live in the Bay Area, plan on coming up for a live Talking Heads on March 19th. Yeah, and a couple people I know in the chat are going to be there too, which is awesome. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. I know a lot of people who are going to be there, like people in this industry that a lot of you know that have been on the channel before, that I'm probably going to have on the show. So yeah, it's going to be like an all hands on deck, but all the YouTuber hands on deck live in San Jose. That's my plan. That's the grand scheme that I'm trying to bring together.
See, you need to introduce them into. I mean, that you're already at a brewery. It's kind of hard, and I'm betting the brewery wouldn't appreciate it. But man, it would be so much fun. As far as to get all of their reactions, all the other YouTubers, especially because some drink and some don't, and that's totally fine. But you being as like Jeff from Craft Computing, and that is the beer guy, to bring, like, I would give you like, here's some odd beers and make them try it.
Yeah,
and then that alone would be a great like 7-minute video of like, welcome to my other world. You know, here's this 22% cognac bourbon sherry barrel aged stout. Here is this oyster whale testicle saison. Drink this. I want to just see your reaction.
What was the one we got to archive that one time? That 19% raspberry blonde.
Oh, what was that?
What was that?
Something like, I don't know. That was a long time ago. Oh, that was so good though.
Yeah.
They just celebrated like 10 years actually.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. I've done a live show from them as well. Last time Ian Cutress was in town. He and I did a live show there, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll have to head back there. Oh, and did you hear who's there's a tap house that was previously owned by Gilgamesh.
Yes.
Rogue is buying a tap house
right next to you, locally
to me.
So I was the one who posted it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, Rogue is buying a tap house in my town. We might have a couple talking heads live from Rogue Tap House here before too long. In fact, I might try to do like a launch event with them, because I think that'd be a hell of a lot of fun.
Be like, I already did. You already sponsored one of my videos.
Yeah. Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
People got no respect anymore. Yeah, by the way, Novella Hub wants to point out that in the box that he sent me is the Shell's cave-aged, barrel-aged lager, clocking in at 10%.
Ooh.
A 10% barrel-aged lager.
Is that... See, when I hear that, I think European lagers, and I've had a lot of those, like...
And by the way, Novella, I have been keeping it cold, so the box is in my fridge.
I was gonna say, like, because I've had like European imperial lager, and man, they just taste like horrible malt liquor.
Yeah.
So I really hope it's not that.
Yeah, sometimes when lagers are turned up to 11, they get a little funky.
Yeah. They're just... Well, lagers are, again, it's more of a malt forward beer, not hop forward. So, and it ends up just being a very sweet maltiness, which then leads it to tasting like malt liquor.
Yeah.
And hence the name malt liquor. So yeah, and it's just like it's okay to where if you have a big imperial IPA, so like this beer is 9%, and you can have malt, fruit, and hops, and it can all be present, or a stout, but that's going to be roasted malt, which tastes more chocolate. So it's not the sweet syrupiness of, say, malt liquor type thing. So that, unfortunately, lagers are very light hop. So whatever, we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I am so excited for this next story.
Oh, okay.
I am so freaking excited.
See, when you posted this, I was like, I don't remember any of this.
You don't remember Pebble?
Nope.
Oh my god.
Nope.
So cast your mind back to 2012, 14, 15. The race for smart devices was on. Like right now the race is for everything AI integrated. Well, back then the race was for how can we get some kind of device onto you? Can we implant it into your brain? Can we you know, and everyone wanted a smart watch. And so Samsung was starting to come out with their active watches, and this is pre-Apple Watch. And everyone was fighting for like it's a cell phone, but on your watch.
It's Dick Tracy.
Right. Yeah, you can voice chat from your watch. It's like, who the hell wants to do that? Like, I want to do that, but only if it works well, and none of them worked well. And then out comes PEBBLE. PEBBLE was a little startup that had a Kickstarter back in 2011 or 2012 that was for a smartwatch that was supposed to be minimalist. It was Bluetooth LE connected. It used an e-paper display. It was not a touchscreen. It did not have a microphone. It had 3 buttons on it on the side. So up, okay, and down. Those were your buttons. It had very limited functionality as far as, like, I can't make a phone call from it. I can't send an email from it. I can't do all this other stuff. But at the same time, it could integrate with features of your cell phone that you're already carrying. And for me, the reason I loved my PEBBLE was, what do you do when your phone goes, when your phone just gives a beep or a notification?
You got to look at
you reach into your pocket, you pull it out. If it's not an active screen, if it's not one that automatically turns on,
you gotta unlock.
You've got to either turn it on or unlock it or pull down your notifications. You've got to figure out which notification of the 80 that just went off actually tried to notify you that is new, right? And you go, oh, that's just an email from this person. I'll reply to that later. And you put your phone back in your pocket. It's 15 to 20 seconds.
Yep.
Do you know what happens when you have a smartwatch that has a good amount of information on it and your notification goes off? You hear your phone go or you feel the little on your wrist, and you look at your wrist and go, I don't need to deal with that now. Yep. And it's a 2-second interaction.
So you just save yourself 13 seconds, and then 13 seconds
every time your phone buzzes, you save 13 seconds.
Well, and then especially if you're a guy with notifications all the time, like say an IT admin.
Yeah.
You know, or again, it doesn't have to be
Let's say you're heading up an entire team of IT people and you get help desk notifications and tickets for every single thing that opens during the day times 600.
Yep.
And tell me that 13 seconds doesn't matter per interaction. And so I had an original PEBBLE. I also bought a PEBBLE Steel, and I was looking at getting a PEBBLE Color when the company went under and was bought by Fitbit. But where all of the smartwatch makers were looking to do, like, it's got a SIM slot and it works as a cell phone and it's got GPS and it can track you while you run and give you directions and everything else. It's like, well, what's the battery life on those? 7 hours if used liberally. And it's like,
yeah,
it's not the point of a watch. The point of a watch is so I can go constant up, down, use it all the time. oh, by the way, if your watch uses an IPS or an OLED or whatever else, you've also got to turn that crap on and then figure out what it is.
The
And
backlit,
it's all running, you know, super bloated software and everything else. And so, yeah, it's like 8, 10, 12 hours of like a day. You got to charge that every night. Well, it's also supposed to track your sleep. Okay, so when do I charge the watch? When I'm taking a shower in the morning? I can't get enough charge in 7 minutes or 12 minutes to make it through a whole day. So what am I supposed to do with this? Is it supposed to track my sleep and do heart rate and do email notifications? Or can I trade off there? My trade-off with wearing one of those smartwatches was, I guess I don't wear it at night, and I guess I'll, you know, YOLO the sleep tracking. The PEBBLE, the original PEBBLE lasted for 7 days without charging, and then charged in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, says the PEBBLE Ultralight would be 12 days.
Yeah.
Up to 20 if you did standby.
Yeah, the Ultralight was one of their last generation ones. And that was actually the one...
7 days for the PEBBLE Time.
Yeah. Yeah, PEBBLE Time was 7 days. PEBBLE Steel was between 5 and 7. The original PEBBLE was 3 to 7, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the PEBBLE Time round.
That's also active use.
Right.
That's the difference. And I have like a Samsung smartwatch. Yeah, no, I mean, I have to charge that every other day.
Yeah.
If not once a day to get a full charge.
Yep.
Because, you know, I'm literally just using it just for pure notification.
Mm-hmm.
Turn that. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That's all I do it for. Nothing else. None of the other biometric reading my pulse and blah, 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 my stress level.
Now I don't mind the pulse reading. I don't mind, but it has to still serve its function, and I don't want to charge it every single 12 hours. I would love to be able to wear a watch for 3 to 4 to 5 days. Make it a work week. Make it a round work week, to where I can take it off when I get home on Friday night, charge it for an hour, and then put it back on my wrist. And that's just part of my Friday routine. You know, you get home on Friday, you put it on the charger, you pour yourself a scotch. By the time your scotch is done, your watch is charged. You can put it back on your wrist and wear it for another 5 days. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be a phone away from phone. This is already a phone away from phone. Do you remember phones when we grew up, John?
I grew up with the rotary.
Yeah.
Like
I grew up with the Super Mario phone. Like,
yeah. No, so I literally grew up in the phone in my kitchen and the phone of my grandparents still had the turn dial of like, all right, you click here, turn. That's the number one.
Yeah.
Turn. It's like I love watching videos of people trying to do that. It's like, it's like, oh, but then it reminds me, it's like, oh my gosh, all these influencers and videos, like I'm 8 years older than you. I'm 10 years older than you. It's like, oh, I feel so old. You know, it's horrible. I'm starting to get into the realization of how old I am. This is very frightening. I can only imagine what Steve feels like.
Right.
And Rhett's still sitting there back like, I'm a baby.
Yeah. What's back pain?
Yeah, I know. Give it 2 years, Rhett. You're gonna feel it. that bottle of ibuprofen is gonna be a once a month thing. Anyways, but yeah, no. So the smartphone, but I was always very negligent to buy a smartwatch because I was like, yeah, the 90% of everything I want is on my phone. Why do I need half these functions? And it wasn't till I saw some that were like, oh, it's going to show me the notifications. And that's a much better time spent management. And the concept, because it looks I was going through some pictures of the. I was like, okay, I do actually remember seeing these before. And what I remember was thinking, it's like, oh, this literally looks like the paperback, the original Amazon tablet.
Yeah, the Fire.
The Fire, yeah. Where it was all paperback and it's easier. It's like,
Kindle, excuse me, not
Kindle,
Kindle.
Yeah, Kindle. Yes, exactly. I was like, oh, it literally looks like that because it has that very matte black or white background and black text, very pixelated, very minimalist type thing. But a lot of that stuff is very functional. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I like some of the smart features on watches, like my pulse. I like the ones that's like, oh, it can actually take your blood pressure from X, Y, and Z apps. I don't know how accurate that actually is. So there are some benefits I do like, but for the most part, like I don't really care for 99% of. I don't need to turn Spotify on from my watch. So it's yeah, but anyway, so back to Pleb. So it sounds like the founder wants to relaunch the e-paper smartwatch, even though it got bought out, but it's still, he wants to redo it, and it looks a much more fashionable than the original one. And I believe technology and everything is going to make this a little bit nicer too. It's a very nice looking watch.
Well, the
image,
the image that's shown on the Ars Technica article, that's actually one of the last ones that they launched in 2016, right before the company ended. This was the Pebble Time round. So most of the Pebble smartwatches had been square to that point, but they all used e-paper displays. And so the Pebble itself could basically write an image to the screen, and then the screen would just stay on without power. And that was the whole, gimmick of it all, was we don't need to keep a display on all the time because our display simply is on all the time. We need to refresh the time once a minute. And so when the minute hand changes, we go and we refresh the screen, and it displays the current time for the next 60 seconds. And that's how time works. That's how they saved on battery power. They also didn't expect the watch to, give you turn-by-turn directions, although I also used my Pebble Steel for turn-by-turn directions. I also used it as a speedometer when I was dirt biking. I wore the crap out of that watch, and I was so devastated when it stopped working. No, the Pebble Time Round is a super elegant, thin, stylish device. It was really, really attractive. And think about, that was 9 years ago that device was on the market. But Pebble got bought out by Fitbit, who then they were buying them to destroy a competitor, is what they were doing. But the interesting part of the story is as go corporate acquisitions, because Pebble was purchased by Fitbit, who was purchased by, was it Garmin? Who then the division of smart devices by Garmin was purchased by Google. And so Google wound up with the IP for Pebble. And so Eric Migalski, there we go, got in touch with, and some of his former team wound up working at Google. And so he got in touch with the team and got in touch with Google themselves and said, look, are you actually going to do anything with the IP that was purchased from me? Or could you just go ahead and open source it? If you're not going to make a product and it doesn't compete with your market, could you just open source it?
Yeah.
That's a ballsy request. It's a really ballsy request. But Google said yes.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I wonder if Google is like, who remembers Pebble?
Right. It's been 9 years since Pebble went under.
Yeah.
But to the shock of literally everyone, Google open sourced Pebble OS and all the IP associated with it. There's a GitHub right now. You can go download the Pebble OS source code. It's on GitHub. Eric Migalski, however you say that, now that it is successfully open sourced, he wants to create new hardware to work with it.
Since they own the IP though, and the name, do they own the name Pebble?
the name Pebble OS has now been open sourced, and so I don't think he could actually create a product called the Pebble Watch anymore. But what he could do is create a watch powered by Pebble OS. That would be within the licensing of the open source agreement for Pebble OS.
Yeah.
So
it's not necessarily, I mean, it's the original creator, but then he might run into branding issues.
It's going to be branded something different unless something astronomically weird happens.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be the Stone Watch powered by Pebble OS or whatever something. Branding name he comes up with. Yeah, it won't be the Pebble anymore.
Call it Bam Bam.
The Bam Bam powered by Pebble.
Pebbles and Bam Bam.
This is a family show.
It's a Flintstones joke.
Not once they're over 18, it's not.
I'm pretty sure they got married. Well, I think there was like a robot chicken episode where
Take me to Bam Bam's grave.
Oh, that's funny.
Jeff needs to create his own watch called Boulder. I am up to my eyeballs in hardware development as it is. I am not going to do anything of the sort. Although,
if Jeff were to make,
the thought did cross my mind.
If you were to make one, this is how I think it would be. It'd probably something like very minimalistic, but the feature that like the taste to resistance would be open breathalyzer. And you're like, that's craft computing. Yep. How many beers can I have?
Can I just say there may one day be an Axe Effect breathalyzer?
Oh man, I'm calling everything these days.
No, this is actually a thing. So one of the mods that I recruited for my Discord server years ago, it turns out his day job is designing and programming microelectronics, exactly like I'm doing with Axe Effect. And so
I wonder who that could be.
And so when Axe Effect, when I, your camera died.
Yeah.
When I got the idea for Axe Effect, I reached out to him and said, do you know anyone who might want to design, help, whatever else? And he goes, well, this sounds like you have a really clear vision in mind. I could probably do this. And I went, screw it, let's do it. And so he's the one that's doing it. Well, years earlier, we had talked about meme situations that have come up on my channel. And that is Jeff browsing eBay and AliExpress late at night, a couple of beers in, and how that has led to some questionable decisions on the channel. Sometimes some excellent decisions of like, Jeff bought this new server and it turns out amazing. And for $100, you get like this NAS box and it's super affordable and super powerful and you can do all these things with it. It's also turned into some of the worst decisions and purchases I've ever made, such as like, Jeff bought this absolute piece of garbage that only runs with a single processor and is completely locked down firmware-wise, and you can't do literally anything with it because you don't own the rights to it. And everything in between. And so I had actually reached out to the developer of Axe Effect, which we should probably start calling it by its official retail name, the OpenViro Axe. OpenViro is the new company name. OpenViro is the new product line. It will be the OpenViro environmental sensors. OpenViro.
Every Patreon from now on, before today, will know as Axe Effects body spray.
Right. But years and years and years ago, I was actually talking to this developer about building me a breathalyzer with a DNS trigger, so I could not access eBay or AliExpress unless I was below a certain ABV. That work did not go unappreciated, and in fact we may eventually build like a rack security system or access control system that is a breathalyzer that you can't access your rack unless you're sober.
That's funny.
Yeah. For everyone knowing, or everyone wondering, Axe Effect was literally a working title. It was, I need to put a name on something, and I have no idea what I want to name it. And so we literally put what it was into an AI name generator, and it said, what about Axe Effect? And I went, screw it, that sounds good. And then it's like, oh wait, there's the body spray. Oh wait, there's also the Fractal Audio company that makes like guitar effects pedals and things like that. That's also named Axe Effect, although that was Axe FX, not Axe Effect. And so still completely different. And also all of them are different markets altogether. Like, you're not going to confuse a body spray at Walmart with a rack-mounted temperature sensor with a guitar effects pedal. Like, there's no crossover in those audiences, at least in their primary functions. And so I was still probably fine to move forward with Axe Effect, but it was never a permanent name. But no, OpenViro, OpenViro is the title moving forward for my...
No. So here's what you need to do. Here is the secret. If you really want to have it fun. Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right. Here's what you do. Is you can still access the server if you hit the Bulmer peak.
There you
go. That's what it's the inside hack.
0.17 to 0.19.
If you can hit that perfectly, it unlocks. So if you're but if you're below that, you're still drunk. Yep. You're above that, you're still drunk. Nope, too bad. But if you hit that peak, oh yeah, it's unlocked. Let's go. And you get admin access, even if you're not an admin. Just go.
Yeah. Do you have the domain? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. If you go to the domain, it's OpenViro, coming soon, powered by Craft Computing. I will not ever make that mistake again. When I was looking at Craft Computing, it actually took legitimately a long time to come up with that name. I wanted a name that felt localized to Oregon. I'm an Oregon native. I live in Oregon. I'll probably die in Oregon. I wanted a channel theme that symbolized where I was from, what I loved doing, what I was about. And I wanted a hook for the channel. And so part of my first idea for a hook was doing craft cocktails, was doing mixology. Then I realized, well, and everything I've done with the channel has always been done with the idea of growth in mind. If I make 50 videos of craft computer or whatever this channel ends up being, I can think of 50 different mixed drinks. What if I hit 400 videos? Am I going to be repeating mixed drinks at that point? Am I going to be, just rehashing the same old things over and over? If that's the case, it's not a hook. It's not a very good hook. And sure, you could always, make 7 different old fashions and 12 different Mai Tais and whatever else.
Yeah, different smoked.
I don't think it has the same effect. I don't think it has the same staying power. I just filmed my 449th video on the channel. That was what was published today, was number 449. I think I've repeated a beer 3 times.
I was gonna say, you probably only actually have a handful of repeated beers.
And they're like some standards that bear repeating. It's like the Fort George Kavatka Stout, or...
Oh, yeah, very good.
Like there are a couple of this one needs a revisit. Because... Yeah,
or it's just so
and
good.
And it's local. Right. It's I got this one local and I wanted to drink it again.
Well, yeah. It's technically not a repeat because it's probably a different vintage.
Right. I bought them at different times. And so technically it's a new review because it's a new year.
Yeah.
And so, and so eventually I settled on not doing craft cocktails and mixology. I settled on doing craft beer because I'm never going to run out of a new craft beer to open. I can open a different craft beer on every episode, and every one is going to be markedly different. That was the hook that I decided to go with. The very first video on craft computing is a beer that was on tap at John's Tap House, called the Amare Secret by the Belgian Underground, who have unfortunately
passed.
Yes, they are no longer with us. But that was
still friends with the owner.
Yeah. Yes, he's offered me the recipe before. If we want,
yeah, I talked to him.
I have really considered
going up.
Talking to Dan, brewing that recipe and selling it as a craft computing extension of that you can't. Again, that goes back into what we were talking about, and for patrons and selling outside, because we were talking. Now, if it hit store shelves, and it was available on Tavour.
Now you know what you.
And if I'm doing the marketing myself, it's not a paid integration. I'm simply saying you can find my beer and my products on Tavour.com.
You know, if you could theoretically get one of the local breweries, and let's go with Dan, because which is Ratchet Brewery, by the way. Yeah. The unseen ever launch of episode,
which should be so funny because they're at Seven Brides, which is where Belgian Underground was. It would be the same equipment. That's so good.
I know, it's so bad. But if they were able to do it and then just said, we will do this as, say, theoretically a small batch, and we'll sell a couple within the brewery itself, you could then theoretically go like, if the brewery sells them, I just went over there, bought them, and shipped them to people.
Right.
Or you could go to
I would not be able to ship. I would need to get in touch with a brewery that has the ability to ship, and so I would need to tie into someone who can sell to Tavour, and I don't think it would ever be a profitable endeavor on my part.
No, and I've talked to Tavour because they've similar to you, sponsored some of my channel episodes, and the way they work is what they told me, because I suggested some breweries to them, and they said they actually use Untapped as a resource, and they say unless the brewery and the beer get an average of 4+, they don't even consider them.
Yeah.
And so but right now Ratchet is below that because they're going for more the local pub type thing, they specialize in the great beers for food, hey, this is your everyday drinker, not a super odd experience. And
their stout is 7.5%, and it's one of the best standard stouts that's out there. Very similar to San Am at 8% with the Pirate Stout.
But it's just basic, and it's to complement food. It's to complement bar experience. They specialize. Dan wanted a place for people to congregate and be like, stay here for 2 or 3.
Yeah,
you're not here to have this 9%, 12%, increased ABV thing, and then one and done, get out. Right. He wants you to have 2, 3, and so he's like, all right, everything literally has to be under 8%. Yeah, majority of the time. Yeah. Every now and then they'll release a special Russian Imperial something, or some big ABV. But for the most part, it's low end, and they try to pair it with food or something like that.
But no, if I could ever buy or just have who we're talking about, give me the rights to the Belgian Underground recipes,
one of the best Belgian tripels ever. Yeah. Ever. Yeah. We have, you and I and Steve, I'll mention it, we have a literal monk
monastery
thing. Yeah. Here, 2 of them, or one of them, and they make fantastic beers. This was better than theirs.
Yeah. Belgian Underground made a better German-inspired beer than the Belgian monastery in a German immigrant town.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it was great.
Yeah, this real estate agent at age 32 walks in and goes, I could do that better.
Yep. It really was. He's like, I got this. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and they only made like 4 or 5 beers. Man, all of them were bangers.
They were all 9 out of 10s. Every single one of them. Yeah.
Even their lager, which is like at the time I was like, I'm not a lager. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
This is great. And it was again, because it's not every time everyone in the States thinks lager, they think domestic. They think Budweiser. They think Miller, Anheuser-Busch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. They don't think malt forward complex.
They don't think malt forward complexity. And you can still have a 5%, I think it was like 5.4%, and it was still complex. It was still sweet. And it was still like, oh, I do taste a little bit of hops. Oh, this would pair very well with this. Oh, this is fantastic. So it was all great. I totally missed Belgian Underground.
Yeah. That was the first beer ever on Craft Computing was the Secret Army Belgian Underground.
The Secret Army, yeah.
Yep.
You know what?
John used to yell at me for stealing his taps, but god dang it, that was a good one.
So I'm going to a show March I think it's the 24th at the Elsinore.
Oh.
And I'm going to visit. I might do a quick little clip.
What show are you visiting?
It's Steel Panther.
Because you know what's funny? I'm going to the Elsinore in April because Steve Hofstadter's coming to town.
Oh yeah, Steve Hofstadter.
Yeah, I got tickets to Steve Hofstadter.
I almost bought tickets for Whose Line is going to be there. I was like,
Colin and Brad are coming back. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that'll be because when I was there, they did it, and it was a big. It was a big event, and I heard it was hilarious.
No, I remember when they came through. I remember when Lewis Black came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might. Oh, for sure. I'm going to go to my old tap room.
Yeah.
But I might do a quick little video. I'll probably post it on the Discord. Again, another reason to join the Discord. So $1 a month, private stuff, inside information. If you want to be part of
I can't wait to see the video where you're sitting at the table going like, I put those lights up.
Oh yeah, no, they're
still there. I know.
Like, they're still there. They took down. It's an Irish pub.
Yeah.
And they stopped using my tap system.
Yeah.
And they just have a little mini kegerator.
Yeah.
It's a 4-tap system in a mini kegerator.
Yeah.
That's what they're using. I'm like, how dare you?
He built a 120 square foot fridge with 32 taps.
I was like, how flippin' dare you? It's
like,
oh my gosh. I'm not saying you have to use all of it. Just
right.
It was a beautiful thing to look at. The woodwork. Okay, if you watch the latest video I posted today, Jason.
Yeah.
He was my woodworker. Great woodworker, and he helped build all of the cabinetry and the trays. There, it was like we used exotic wood to build all of this stuff. Everything there is so unique.
Yeah.
We had the brewers of all of the brewers around in Salem. They would come to my tap house late at night.
Yep.
One, to play drunk VR. At the time, that's what it was called, Jeff's channel, or it wasn't a channel.
That's how I funded the channel was literally getting all the Salem brewers together to hot lap each other in VR while drunk.
In VR,
was great.
But then they would be like, John has the most unique and inspirable.
Salem head brewers bought so many graphics cards, you have no idea.
Yeah, they would come to my location to be inspired to brew new beers because I would bring in the weirdest things and be like, I don't care where you're from. I went and traveled 2.5 hours to buy a 6-0, which is only 5 gallons.
Yeah.
Just to buy that. And I lost money, but like, that's stupid. I want to try that beer. I want to have it.
Yep.
You know what else is stupid is the last article I posted.
I saw this.
And this is a little bit of the beer news. It's the end of the day. I'd like to get to this because it's stupid. And I like talking about beer news, but it's Pringles and Miller Lite collabing on a Miller Lite.
But not even like the way you think they would?
Right? I
Like that was my takeaway from the article was like, oh, Pringles is collaborating with Miller Lite. Oh, cool. You're doing a Miller Pringles, or you're doing a Pringles Miller, or you're doing whatever else. No.
Nope.
It's
Nope.
beer can chicken.
Beer can chicken. And I love the
what
idea.
What the hell does that have to do with either company?
I know. And they're like, oh, it's crisp aroma of hops. Who's when you think of hops? Oh, I definitely think Miller Lite. That's a hoppy beer. It's so hoppy. Is the lightest lager on the nation. And then I'm like,
I'm sorry, the
chicken.
3 ounces of hops per batch is not getting me excited.
I just like, okay, it's beer news. I understand, and it's big beer news for everything. So it's kind of interesting. I know we've done stuff of like, like literally I said whale testicle, and so that's very unique. This is gonna be big, and it's like, who wants this? Who thought, yeah, this is a good idea. This is a good. I want to eat chicken flavored, or chicken beer flavored chips, and compressed. They're not even chips.
Yeah,
it's compressed corn matter.
Yeah, but by the way, this is not Miller making a beer can chicken. This is Pringles making a beer can chicken inspired chip.
Yes,
if we weren't clear.
Sponsored by Miller. And so it's
not sponsored by Miller.
It's not well, it's the inspiration.
I don't want this crap on my channel.
I don't know, man. It's what is Pringles in a downfall? I never thought Pringles would be in a downfall. Pringles,
bringing this slightly back around. Do you want to know why it's also hard to keep advertisers on the channel? It's because I don't do established titles and Raid Shadow Legends and AG1 and all of those others all that often. Honey offered me a sponsorship. I declined because I went, no, my affiliate sales are worth more to me than they are to you. I don't want you to steal them. I know what your business model is. I don't want that. Established Titles, but we'll give you Established Titles offered me $5,000 to run a 60-second advertisement of, you could be a lord in Scotland. And I went, no, that's not what I want to sell my users. That doesn't make sense for my users. I know you have one.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, I am, but I didn't pay for it.
Right. But you know it's also bunk, and that it's literally just.
Dude, my 1 inch by 1 inch plot is legit, and if you are do
you know Scotland themselves have refuted all claims? Yes, you do not own the land. You cannot develop the land. You can't visit the land. You can't do anything because you're not a landowner. And so no, you don't qualify. And owning property does not in and of itself make you a lord. You don't buy a house in Scotland and go, now I am Lord Shubin. That's not how buying a house works.
You do not tell that to the employees at my work, because they literally call me Lord Shubin.
And I love that. And it's fun and it's cute and it's humorous, but it's also not real. And
wait, what about my Miller High Life I can marry people? Is that real?
Depends. Did you fill out the thing for the state of Oregon that says you're...
No, it's like a Scientology thing. But according
now we're getting
Life,
deep into it. Okay.
According to Miller Life, Miller High Life, I'm indoctrinated to marry people.
Yeah. The power granted in you by the state of Miller Lite.
Yeah, and so I am Lord, and I can marry people.
Right.
All through beer. Right. So you're welcome, everyone. Yeah.
But I don't sign ads like that. Like it has to be a product that would actually make sense for my audience. Newsflash, Manscaped actually makes sense for my audience. And so, yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do ads like that. But I'm not going to do Raid of Lord Shadow Temple, Dark Skies random mobile game of the 5th.
You tell them you will run their ad when they can prove that you have royalty and what lineage. When the queen or king dies, what point you are at. And then you will run their ad. That's what you needed to do.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, what lineage am I 300, 400? That's fine. You prove it in documentation, I will run your ad.
Novella says, Lord Shubin, what does Steve call you?
You don't want to know.
We can't say that on air.
Can't say it. Join the Discord. I'll tell you.
Oh, so many things. But yeah, it's like I could sell out for a dime a dozen, but I don't want to do that because I don't want people. I had about a week ago, I had a company reach out and say, hey, we feel like you're not getting as much AdSense revenue as you could. And I said, no kidding, but pray tell, what would you do with my channel? And this is strictly AdSense. This is simply playing the algorithm, getting clicks, getting higher revenue sources of ad recipients, that is you fine people, and making more money directly from YouTube. And the company looked at my last 54 videos prior to December 2024. So November 30th prior, they looked at my 54 videos that were published to that. So basically 6 months worth of videos. And they said, hey, we noticed that there's a couple of themes within your videos that worked really well. And those were videos that included the title, I switched or I made this. Those videos did extraordinarily well compared to the rest of your content. Well, the I switched video was I switched to Linux and I took the Linux 30-day challenge. And I installed Zorin OS and I endeavored to be on Linux and nothing else for 30 days. The I made this was in reference to the announcement of my 1 year in development Axe Effect beta product, that it was available for public purchase. Yes, those performed better than a random monitor review. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for your scientific input. They also said, thumbnails that you develop that have your face as one of the primary features and you're holding an item and you give a clear description, get more clicks than those that don't.
Okay, I am on your channel literally right now.
Tell me, pray tell, what is my average thumbnail?
I have seen 2 videos in the past 10 months that do not have your face. Two videos.
Every thumbnail I do.
Right. 1 year ago. So it took 1 year.
I'm on the same side of the frame every time.
It took 1 year to get 3 videos where your face was not in the thumbnail.
Okay. So they said, based on those numbers, based on that evidence, thumbnails with a purple background perform poorly, and we recommend you don't use purple for a background. Thumbnails with blue and green perform better. We recommend you use those colors.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not. Okay. I got another point to make.
Okay.
They also gave me one other point of advice. I don't remember what it was. So I responded to them and I said, yes, me announcing a product that I made as available for sale is going to perform better on average than even the latest graphics cards and even the latest PC builds and everything else. Yes, and I made sure of that. And I made sure that video was a success. I know I made this sells, but guess how many things I make? Maybe one every 6 months. So that's not a repeatable formula. Neither is I switched because, believe it or not, I don't want to erode the long-term trust of my audience by I switched to Linux, I switched to NVIDIA. I will never use an AMD product again because they did this thing. Guess what AMD just made? I'm going to switch back.
Yeah.
Some YouTubers fell into this. Not going to name any names. I noticed as a longtime viewer, and I took an instant distrust to everything else that they said from there on out. Because if you can't even stand by your own principles and see something through, or if you're going to be as shallow as, I'm mad at this company this month, I switched to someone else, everyone hates you.
Yep.
Everyone hates you. I will never do that type of content.
So I literally, because I scrolled down to a year and to calculate just 1 year's worth of the thumbnails, and then you mentioned the color. This is literally random. I just scrolled up, and the first thumbnail on the right was purple. The 3 on the left are blue based. It's medium. It looks navy.
I have some navy, and then I have some lighter teals.
Yeah, there's possibly a dark purple, and then a nice bright blue.
Yeah.
I have 16,000, 88,000, 50,000 on the blues, 119,000 on the pink.
On the purple, yeah. So I responded with, I can't repeat these video subjects. Maybe it's inherent to the video subject that those particular videos got more views. They're outliers, not things that should be used in your normal analysis. As to your purple comment, yeah, maybe for the June to November that you looked at, the last 6 months worth of videos, purple performed worse on average than the rest of my videos. However, if you looked at December and January, those are my 2 highest performing videos for the last 2 months, are the 2 that I did in purple.
I've been holding it for like 40 minutes. Sorry, it's in the pain directory.
That's all right. That's all right. But yeah, like, no, this company reached out and they said, we could do so much more for you. And their recommendations boiled down to, have you tried using blue instead of purple? And it's like, well, that's nonsensical because purple performed better than blue in these months. Have you tried just making more products and doing videos based on that? Well, yeah, if I released a video every 6 months, then yeah, I'm sure that would perform fantastically. But I also do monitor reviews and keyboard reviews and projects with Proxmox and weird little side things. Tutorial videos, which tend to be evergreen and not get as many views in the first 6 months, but live for 3 or 4 years. And by the end of 3 years, they've got 250,000 views. I also did content around, weird things and experiments and things like that. And that's where I like to live. And so I replied to them and I said, your comments all seem very generic. Like, there's not a lot of substance to what you're telling me to do. If I was a lifestyle influencer, this morning I woke up and I made myself a nice yogurt parfait and whatnot. If you're saying that the days that I post green are different than the days that I post purple, I'll believe you. I will tell. Oh, Kraken. Ooh, spiced Kraken.
Yeah.
Ooh.
A little sniff.
Then I would totally believe you. But the subject also has bearing, and they took the subject matter with absolutely no context whatsoever. And tried to say, well, your thumbnails did better when you did a 1-year development cycle versus when you reviewed the $100 Amazon 180 hertz monitor.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. And then they said, well, we've also seen YouTubers integrate mid-roll ads into their videos. And I went, I will never do that. I do 30-minute videos. I will not subject my viewers to mid-roll ads. I do pre and post-roll. I do post-roll ads. Sometimes if you watch my video and you watch it to completion and you watch the next ad, that's my ad too. I get revenue on that. The reason I do that is because I don't want my viewers to ever, ever, ever click away if they're interested in what I'm talking about. I don't want any external factors.
And you're talking to like literally just a bottom end salesman pitching you.
Yeah.
Just trying to make a bit of commission.
Yeah. So
because he knows nothing.
So I sent him back like a 2-page like point for point thing of, I appreciate you guys doing your thing with me, but here's why you're wrong.
Yeah.
You didn't take any other factors into account other than this thumbnail color didn't perform as well. Did you consider the subject matter? Did you consider the time of year? Did you consider the phase of the moon? Because I guarantee that had more to do than the color of the background.
Oh yeah, no, it's the dumbest. It's funny. There was a time. So my company is very high into cold calling type thing, and there was I got a cold call on my cell phone, and there was one time I was like, oh, I believed that number type thing, so I foolishly picked up, and they cold called me and started pitching me IT stuff. I was like, okay, oh, my bad, whatever. But for some reason, I was like, I'm in a mood. I'm going to listen to this guy. 90% of the time I hang up. I'm going to listen. Okay, I'll listen to this.
Hey, killer, I'm going to make this short.
Exactly. It's like, and I can hear him. It's like this.
There are two types of people in this world, sharks or sheep.
This is bad. I was like, okay, all right. And so he gets through his pitch. And I'm like, nah, that's all right. He's like, well, thank you for your time. I'm like, and then I stopped him. As he was like, I think it was like, hang on a sec. Why did you stop? You need to keep pitching. I am literally in an IT guy for a cold calling company. You need to sell me more. And I got to the point where like, I'm giving this guy tips. I'm like, no. You can't say no. You need this sale.
Wait, and is this Joe? Are you at Cubicle 3A?
I'm like,
you freaking suck at this, Joe.
I'm coaching him for like 30 minutes. He's like, yeah, those are good points. Those are good points. He's like, so what do you think? It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy your product. Bye.
Yeah, no.
But that was one of my most like memorable times. But yeah, it's there because I'll get every now and then the horrible. You probably get more than I do, but the horrible like, we can increase your ad sales, and if you'd sponsor this person, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I got an exercise bike from my diet videos, and it's like, oh, you should do this exercise bike. Is like, we'll send you a free one. Like, really?
Have you considered promoting Logan Paul's latest pump and dump crypto scam?
Well, I was part of the Hawk 201, and so not saying how much money,
which was also Logan Paul, by the way.
I'm just saying I made a bunch of money. No. I spit on that thing and gained some money.
Right. The American way, I see.
Yes. The oldest profession way.
Yes.
That's the best way to make money. That's how it is. Yeah. And then there was moonshining liquor. So
yeah,
second oldest.
So I have a problem. It is 23 minutes past the hour.
Yep.
And I am out of beer.
Well, that's why I went to liquor.
Right. I mean, I have liquor.
I know. Well, I mean, I got it too.
I have liquor. Yeah. So it's been a show. It's been a show. It's
the nice part is there are good shows where there's good. So I'll end on this and then you can close if you want. It's what I do enjoy about this channel is that all of us, we help each other out. We again, this goes back to the community and everything, and we help Jeff out, and because we love this channel and we love Jeff and we're good friends with Jeff and we want to help out, and we love that we get to talk similar things that we're all interested in, and then at the same time there are days and shows that we literally don't talk about anything, and the community that Jeff and us have built, and mostly Jeff, get to inject into the live chat, and then we get to talk about something, and whether it can be graphic cards, modern whatever's going on in the world, Star Trek, or pop culture, or there are good times where there are really good articles to talk about. Every Talking Heads is a different experience, whether it's a little boring sometimes or lively. It's fantastic because it's literally, if I remember correctly, it was kind of your concept or your pitch to me back at the tap room was, I want people literally what it's like talking around the bar. Yeah. I just want two guys talking in a bar and just talking. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Blah, 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 blah. You know, that's what it is. That's what it's always felt like. Whether it went from it used to be live together, we all do miss I think every host missed the camaraderie together. That's always been so much fun because that's always life gets in the way.
Yeah,
we found a compromise. This is still great. It is still very much the true essence of that show. That idea of we get together and we are.
You need to sell me a little plot of land.
If you call me Lord, I'll pay for that. That's fine. You know,
is that a binding offer?
I mean, maybe.
I will call you Lord.
Well, you need to start selling that as for yourself for those plaques, and you need to tell those patrons you're going to call them Lord or royalty or something like that. And then that's the.
You know, I did look into, is there a Discord plugin that will automatically attribute a pretext or a badge icon onto someone given various status on other servers, on other locations? And so could you buy a brick from Craft Computing and be known as Lord Hops and Brews?
Yeah.
Or Hops and Brews with a check mark or a gold star or whatever by your name. And not that I found thus far, but maybe
not a bad idea.
There are ways to assign different roles, and so we can do different colors. But I already have colors for patrons versus float planers, and I also have different colors for different like achievements within the server. My favorite of which is called the Expensive Idea Shill. Do we have 2 or 3 people in the Expensive Idea? I think it's just 2. Hold on. Let me look at the roles real quick. I want to verify what I'm saying here. For the roles, if I click on Expensive Idea Shill, where's my members of that? Manage members. There are 3 Expensive Idea Shills. There's AJP, there is Yakto, and there's Zeus. And the way they became Expensive Idea Shills is they either made me spend $1,000 in a single shot on eBay, or they recommended an idea which cumulatively made me spend $1,000 on eBay.
I know there's so much fun things, and that's what I'm trying to get to is that we really enjoy, and I really enjoy this. It's still that idea versus other, because we all still watch for the most of the hosts periodically. We'll watch some of the other live tech shows. I don't know, something's still missing. There's, I don't know, it's not as fun to me. That might just be my personal beef, but I really like coming on, and I know that whether I know the article, whether what information, it's fun to just, I'm talking to a friend, and I believe that radiates out into the community of the whole community is just a bunch of people just having a good time talking. You don't know, who cares? We're having a good time. And we learned a little bit here and there. Here's a little bit of news, and it's shared, and we all find this very good common ground. Yeah. And that's what I really love.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, channel is what I'm saying.
Support the channel. Yeah. No, at the end of the day, I want this to be approachable. I want it to be relatable. And what's more relatable than a couple of guys just sitting around talking tech? Maybe both of them know what they're talking about. Maybe neither know what they're talking about. Maybe it's 50-50. And I like to balance that conversation of, look, while I know a lot about beer and I've learned a lot about beer over the last 8 years, John knows 3 times as much about beer as I will ever know. But I like to facilitate when we're doing beer content, I ask the questions that make John look smart. And then vice versa. No, that's seriously the secret to public discourse when you're doing like a podcast situation is one guy is stupid and goes, well, why would this actually affect the end product? Oh, let me explain. And then this guy gets to be smart and gets to be an authoritative figure and explain exactly what you're talking about.
That is literally how, that is
which is why I keep you around for tech stuff.
All right, we'll end the thumbnail at this spot right here, as you did for my channel.
I walked you right into that.
You don't think I didn't know, and so I still play.
Hey, John, take my hand. Walk right up here. Okay, there's a line on the floor. Hold on.
And that's why Jeff and I are good friends.
That's exactly right.
All right, there we go.
This has been fun. This has been episode 368 of Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube or in podcast form or over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already, subscribe to Hops and Brews if you like the beer content on this video, because believe it or not, I make guest appearances over on his show every once in a while in which John makes me do horrible, unspeakable things.
That'll be the thumbnail.
What kind of things? We don't speak of them. Horrible, horrible things.
You only spit it out once, and not in a sexual way.
Right, right.
It's past 10 in most places.
It is. It is. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you all so much for watching. Join the Patreon, hit craftcomputing.store, get some merch. We have some fantastic pint glasses that I literally slave over a hot laser for. Go buy them. They're great. And they help keep the lights on around here. But that's going to do it for us here on Talking Heads. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, we will see you next week.
See you guys.
Cheers, everyone. All right, now what do I click?
Delete.
Delete. Okay, yeah.
Delete, yeah.
End stream and delete. Got it.
Yep.
All right, we're out.
I don't know what else to say.